My name is Jason Pridmore. I'm with JP43 Training. JP43 Training was an offshoot of Star Motorcycle Schools that I ran for almost 20 years. And basically we want to try to get people trained to be better on their motorcycles, be more competent on their bike. My father was 3-time AMA Superbike champion, so when it came to motorcycling, I was raised in a motorcycling family. I was at racetracks since I was a kid, and I've been riding since a very early age. And after learning how to ride, I had a pretty strong career, and then from that point now, it's a matter of giving back. I'd like to give back to the sport as much as I can, and it's fun to be able to train people and teach people new things. I've won a couple of AMA championships. I've won a couple of FIM World Endurance Championships as well. Those are races that are done overseas. I've been fortunate enough to ride World Superbike. I've been fortunate enough to ride World Supersport. Race here in America. My last 2 years, I rode for Michael Jordan, which was really fun. So that was a great experience. I've got a lot of experiences that are pretty cool. Troy, Carol's boyfriend, I knew him. He came and did a school with me many years ago. And about 5 years ago, he contacted me about if I would be interested to come and teach at a MotoVixens event. And I had been to the Ridge before, and I loved the area, and I knew Troy from before. I didn't know him very well, but I knew him well enough. And then it was a phone call from Carol, and we talked about some things, and I think we're on our 4th year now, so we've had a blast doing it, and I've met a lot of really neat people up here, so it's an annual event for me now, and that's how I got hooked up with him. Well, that's a funny subject. No, I don't race anymore at all. I do one event a year in Australia for the last 2 years, but that's just kind of a fun event that wasn't so fun last year because I broke my leg, but I miss it. I do miss riding and racing still. I miss racing. Just getting here. I think the hardest part for a lot of street riders is just getting to the racetrack, because there's kind of an aura about coming to a racetrack, and I think that there's a lot of heat from family members in the past or behind scenes that are saying, why do you want to go to a racetrack? You want to race? And it has nothing to do with that. This is the best place to come and practice your skills, become better and safer, and understand proper technique. As long as you've got the right people teaching you, I think that there's a lot of knowledge to be gained, and what it will ultimately do is it'll slow you down on the street or take you off the street completely, because once you're at a racetrack environment, it's pretty addictive. I think the biggest habit I see is riding around in gears too tall. I think a lot of street riders become very lazy with the gearbox, and they ride around in RPMs that to me aren't manageable. And one of the biggest things that we teach is to make sure that people understand what RPM management is, and that is having control over your bike through the use of the motor. I think that there's a lot of accidents that can be prevented from that, and I've seen data showing it. So for me, that would probably be the biggest thing I see street riders bringing to the track that we can fix. Well, I think it gives you a place to practice. We don't get a place where we can do something repetitive, and going up into the canyons or your favorite local roads just isn't the spot, because road conditions can change, and of course we got traffic and all the other things that come along with it. But if you can come out and practice good solid techniques at a track, you get to go around that lap and practice it again the next lap and the next lap and the next lap. You can get a lot of riding under your belt in a day at a racetrack and practice good solid fundamentals. My father, I watched my dad race for a bunch of years, obviously, and I was a kid, so I wanted to be like my father. And then he started a motorcycle school in the early 80s that traveled the country, and I was fortunate enough to be a part of that. I was young, but as I grew through my teenage years, I had solid fundamentals handed down, and it made my career a lot easier. And so I had people like my father and others that I could go to and trusting. And that's kind of what I started to develop here with JP43 Training. I want these younger guys to be able to go someplace that they can trust, that are going to stay invested in them even after they come, and after I see them, I'm still invested in people. There's probably been a few. Injuries are always the top of the list in our sport because you can get hurt, and I think that being able to bounce back from certain injuries, you learn a lot about yourself, and I think that some of the adversities that come, even if you are having a bad year, or I miss the communication with my team. Those are the kind of things I miss. But there were times when that was very challenging as well, because there's personalities involved, so you have to manage that. But there was a lot of things that I learned at the racetrack that taught me better things in life as well. I think for me, I always make the joke that I work with so many young phenoms and kids, and I haven't had one pull away from me just yet. So I want to be able to work as long as I can with younger kids to help them hopefully gain a place to where they can make a career riding motorcycles again. I came through at a very good time where I was able to make a living riding a motorcycle, a full-on living, and I'd love to be able to see it get back to that. And if I can be a part of that while I'm alive, great. Racing internationally is much more accepted. Motorcycle racing in Europe and Asia and all those places is something that people live for. They love it. You know, you go to Spain and Italy and England and all these other places, and racing motorcycles is so accepted. Here in America, we're such a stick and ball sport type of world here in America that motorcycling needs to find its place. Over here, it's much more of, it's looked down on maybe a little bit, motorcycling. So I think it's been a goal of mine in my life to try to get it to where motorcycles can be back on the rise. And I think that we're starting to see that now. We've gone through the bad years, the last 6-7 years, and it's getting better now. My name is Jason Pridmore with JP43 Training. We're here at the Ridge with MotoVixens. I look forward to meeting you all someday soon.